Hi everyone, I'm the Plant Propagator and welcome to my channel. Today it is yet another beautiful January day in Southwest Florida. Just hit an orchid with my elbow, but not a cloud in the sky, just a great day. It took me a little while to collect the various videos that I want to use in today's video. So this is a kind of a collection of videos and a summary of the deflasking party that I had in the laboratory last week. And it took a little while to get this together because there's a lot of videos that I needed to compress into a form that was that I think would be good to look at. It also took a while for me to recover from this part. There was a lot of activity, a lot of things going on, as I think you'll be able to see from the video that I'm going to share with you. It's broken up into the deflasking component, so the preparation of the media, how the plants are flasked, and then I wanted to give you kind of a flavor of the overall progression of our deflasking party. There was a lot of background noise, a lot of things going on, and what I'm going to do is narrate through the various videos to kind of give you a flavor for what we were doing. So let's go and let's take a look, and I want to share with you some of the activities that occurred at the BOING deflasking party that was held last week.
Okay, and here we go. So the first step in the deflasking process is the preparation of the medium. And here, this member is preparing Orchiata bark. And this is classic grade, which is what I use for the freshly deflasked orchids. So they're placed usually, the Orchiata bark is placed in warm water for anywhere from 5 minutes to a few hours. And I like to use moistened bark because sometimes it takes a little while for the bark to really absorb the moisture, and that's what the deflasked orchids really like. There's a couple of different potters here that are putting the orchids in, the deflasked orchids, in the pots, and we use 2-inch pots here. So the person on the right is putting a orchid in the pot. The guy on the left just deflasked a nice Cattleya flask. He's going to show you the contents right now. And this one doesn't have a whole, this flask doesn't have a whole lot of orchids in it, but most of them did. But the orchids in that flask look pretty good. This is the party as it was, the deflasking party as it was starting, as it was getting going. And you can see a lot of activity. So everyone has their 2-inch pots and is putting Orchiata in it. And I'll show you a couple of different approaches and how individuals potted up their orchids. It's a pretty similar thing to do. The important things, certainly when you have all these people around, is to remember to put labels in your pots, and I hope you can see that in the video. There's a lot of people that are deflasking mostly Cattleyas, and at the seedling stage, a lot of them look very similar. So it's important really to label things pretty well. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is there's a real diversity of people here that are potting up these different orchids, and there's people with more experience and less experience, and they're all potting it up, and they're all learning as they go. And there's a lot of socializing and a lot of interaction, which is really fun to see in this community. I should mention at this point that this group is called BOING, which stands BOING, which stands for Breeding Orchids by Intelligent but Naive Growers. And this is a subgroup that I formed within the Gulf Coast Orchid Alliance, which is my affiliated American Orchid Society chapter here in Southwest Florida. The tub that you just saw contains a variety of different orchids. The orchids, after they're deflasked, are placed in the tubs, and the tub is covered And you can see a lot of tubs on the tables in the background. So the orchids are placed in the tubs, and the tub is covered to maintain very high humidity. The orchids are grown under very high humidity conditions, so it's important to maintain that high humidity to slowly acclimate those plants to the ambient humidity. This is a person who is showing his potting technique for one of the cattleyas, and you kind of fill the pot and then add the orchid and spread the roots out a little bit and add more orchids on the top. And again, importantly, put the tag in at the end. These shows some of the tagged orchids that we have. Again, a covered tub. And this is somebody who is preparing another pot for a orchid. And you can see there's a little bit of a mess that's made, but luckily we got brooms and we clean things up, and these people are pretty neat when they do things. So this is another example, and you can see, I hope you got to take a look at the root systems on some of these, but it's important to have nice roots, and they'll keep on growing roots out from the top even when there's a lot of them to start with. So she put the roots down in the orchiata a little bit and then covered them up, and she's going to tap the orchiata down a little bit in the pot. Again, you don't want to you don't want to smash the roots, but you just kind of want to make sure it's in there. The potting mix that you can use can be varied. It should be a light and airy mix, and again, it's important to keep things moist and keep the humidity high when you're doing this potting. So it's important to do all that. Again, this shows some additional potting up of the orchids, and I should mention that the person on the right of the screen in the long sleeve shirt he's doing a community pot. So he put a lot of encyclias back in. He rinsed all the roots off underneath the running water and put the encyclias back in that same container with a bunch of orchiata. So there were people, most of the orchids were placed in individual pots, which I like to do. There were a few folks that felt that they needed to make community pots because they got tired of potting up the individual plants. But this again gives you an idea. This is sped up just a little bit, an idea of the activity, and everyone was, got to see a bunch of orchids, got to deflask a bunch of orchids, and it was generally a good time for everyone. The sound that you can hear in the background is again the part of the talking that probably sound like ants going on in the background, or there's just a lot of activity, a lot of going on, a lot of things going on. And there I am in the video in the back with my lab coat on. I was working with bleach that day, so I put my lab coat on. But you can get an idea of the interaction and the level of activity that we had. So people are sharing information, potting up orchids. I think in general, it was just great fun for everyone. I think they enjoyed it. I know I did.
Okay, that was it. I hope you enjoyed watching the video, a little chopped up, but I hope you enjoyed seeing the various activities and the various people that were at this party and how they just went completely nuts over the flasked orchids. I do want to say, if you didn't notice how many, because of the activity, I think we deflasked about 20 flasks at this event. And so when you look at the number of flasks that we had and the number of orchids that were in each flask, I would guess it was about 500 orchids that we potted up individually. Some people did make community pots. I didn't show you any of those, but there were so many orchids there that at the end we got a little bit tired of potting the individual ones, so we made there were some community pots that were made as well, and I didn't want to really share those with you, but you just take those out and put them in one pot, but you have to separate them later. I don't like doing that because it tends to damage the roots after the roots already form and are sticking to the bark, but that's just what some people felt like doing because we were deflasking and potting up so many individual orchids. Okay, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video today and you want to keep on seeing my videos, it would help me out if you can click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. Okay, that's all I have for today. Oh, I should mention one more thing. I've got some new blooms that I'm pretty excited about. This is a first bloom on this plant here. This is not a first bloom. The ones behind me are not, but I got more first blooms coming. I don't want to share that with you today because I'm exhausted just from watching all the activity at the deflasking party. So I'll share those with you later. All right. Again, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and happy propagating.